I honestly can't believe this is happening to me. My wife, Megan, and I have been married for 14 years. I'm 48 now, and lately, it feels like I'm living with a stranger. Everything started shifting a few years ago, right after she got promoted. With the new title came more money, and along with it, this weird emotional distance I couldn't quite explain. Then the lockdown hit. That's when things really fell apart. It was like a switch flipped inside her. Megan told me she couldn't handle being cooped up at home anymore, and for the first time, we were forced to face issues in our marriage that we'd always swept under the rug. At one point, we were truly compatible, two people in sync, building a life together. But now, it's like we don't even speak the same language anymore. I know we're not the only couple dealing with the stress of work, kids, and everything else, but that doesn't make it any easier. Even before the pandemic, we'd argue constantly. Little things always became big deals. She was the one who suggested marriage counseling. I didn't love the idea, but I agreed, holding on to hope that maybe we could find our way back. But with everything shut down, finding a therapist was next to impossible. So I suggested we talk through our issues ourselves. And we tried. I'm not gonna lie, it's been rough. I started emotionally shutting down, and eventually, we started sleeping in separate rooms. We still have brief moments of closeness, here and there. But it's not enough. Megan is a wonderful mom to our kids, no doubt about that. But what about us? What happened to the spark we used to have? I'm not giving up. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to fix this. I want that feeling back, the one we had when we first said, I do. By June, I hit my breaking point. I couldn't understand why everything was changing so fast, and it hurt, deeply. Watching our family unravel was tearing me apart. Even our kids, though they're still young, could sense something wasn't right. Their moods shifted. The house just felt off. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just about marital tension. Something worse was happening, something Megan wasn't telling me. That's when I decided to stop wondering and start investigating. I noticed how glued she was to her phone. She kept it close all the time, never letting it out of her sight. She'd be on it constantly, ignoring both me and the TV, just waiting, like she was expecting a message from someone. Her whole vibe changed when it buzzed. It was like she was hypnotized. She started going out more, saying she was just bored and needed fresh air. But I had my doubts. Being home so much gave me time to realize just how blind I'd been. I needed to know the truth. So I bought a voice-activated recorder on Amazon. When she fell asleep one night, I slipped it into her car. 2 anxious days later, I retrieved it. Listening to that recording, my heart dropped. I only heard Megan's voice, but it was clear she was talking to a man. They chatted about work at first, but then it turned intimate. She said she missed him, that our marriage bored her. Her voice lit up when she talked about seeing him again. That excitement, it crushed me. There it was, proof. Megan was having an affair. They even talked about meeting at a hotel parking lot not far from our place. I kept listening. I heard the car door open, she'd arrived. My head was spinning. My whole body tensed up. Do I confront her now? Or do I wait and get more proof? I sat in silence, pretending nothing was wrong while my world was falling apart. My heart was in pieces. But I knew Megan. She wouldn't come clean easily. She's smart, persuasive. If I confronted her without solid evidence, she'd twist it, gaslight me, and we'd just end up screaming at each other. So I kept quiet. That's also why I installed a GPS tracker in her car. Yeah, it's extreme. But I needed to be sure. If I was right, I had to be ready. As COVID restrictions eased, we both started going back to work. One evening, after dinner and some half-hearted TV time, Megan was buried in her phone again. Out of nowhere, she announced she was going for a late-night drive to clear her head. And that was it. I felt a mix of rage and relief. I'd been waiting for this exact moment for weeks. It had been eating me alive, messing with my focus, ruining my days at work. I kept asking myself where we went wrong. Was it when she started earning more? I didn't want to blame myself, but it was hard not to. As soon as I heard her car pull out of the driveway, I turned off the TV, tucked the kids into bed, and grabbed my phone. I opened the GPS app. Her car? Parked in a hotel lot just a few blocks away. I knew what I had to do. I was going to that hotel. I'd wait in the lobby until she and her mystery man walked out. And this time, I'd get my answers. I couldn't wrap my head around how reckless Megan was, choosing that kind of spot for an affair. A damn hotel parking lot? I kept asking myself, was she really that careless? Or had I just been so oblivious that she never thought I'd catch on? I mean, who goes for a clearing my head drive in the dead of night? Did she think I was an idiot? Or maybe she saw our rough patch as her free pass, like she wanted space and found it in the arms of someone else. About 20 minutes after she left, I grabbed my keys, got in my car, and drove to the hotel. There were only 5 cars in the lot when I pulled in. It was always a quiet place, but that night felt especially deserted. The lobby lights were off, and I realized the hotel was still shut down, probably hadn't reopened yet after the lockdowns. I parked a ways off and scanned the lot. That's when I spotted her car, tucked away in a shadowy corner. Right next to it? An SUV. I couldn't tell if it was his or hers, but either way, my heart started pounding like a war drum. The way they were parked gave them a full view of anyone coming in off the highway. Smart move, if you're trying to hide. It was dark. Still. Quiet. And they were tucked far enough back that I couldn't see much from where I was. I cut my engine and stared in their direction, hoping to catch any sign of movement inside the cars. But after a few minutes, it hit me. They weren't in either vehicle. Both were empty. That meant they were either somewhere nearby, or in one of those cars, just not in the front seats. Almost 40 minutes had passed since she left home. I knew she'd probably be heading back soon. She'd want to beat the clock before I got suspicious. But the idea of her sneaking out while the kids slept just to meet some guy in a shady motel parking lot? That image made me physically sick. This wasn't the same woman I'd built a life with. 15 years. Gone. Just like that. I couldn't pull up right next to their cars without being seen. It was about 30 yards away. So I decided to get out and walk. I moved slow, quiet, careful not to draw attention. But as I got closer, I saw it. The SUV was rocking. Not dramatically. Just a slow, steady movement. Rhythmic. Enough to confirm everything I didn't want to believe. That was it. I lost it. All the rage, the hurt, the confusion, it exploded out of me. I ran to the car and tried the door. Locked. Of course. But I saw enough. More than enough. My wife. Megan. The mother of my kids. In the back of some guy's SUV, having sex like it was some sleazy high school hookup. It was pathetic. Heartbreaking. And humiliating. Before I could even get a word out, the guy started the engine and peeled out like a coward. Just took off, leaving me standing there, too stunned to even scream. I didn't get the confrontation I wanted. Didn't catch them tangled up with their clothes off. But she couldn't deny it now. Not anymore. I stayed up all night. Couldn't sleep. My chest felt hollow, like something had been ripped out of me. At around 5 a.m., Megan finally walked through the door. The second I saw her, I knew. She looked wrecked. Like she'd been through hell and didn't win the fight. Her posture screamed guilt, her eyes wouldn't meet mine, and her face was pale like she'd seen a ghost. The first thing out of her mouth was some weak attempt to explain it away. "It's not what it looked like," she said. But I already knew the truth. She eventually admitted she'd been seeing this guy for about 6 months, but refused to tell me who he was. Wouldn't even admit they worked together. She claimed they were just two lonely people struggling in their marriages, finding comfort in each other. Said what happened that night was the first time it had gone that far. Bullshit. She got defensive when I pressed her. Said our marriage had been on the rocks for years. That she was stressed and overwhelmed. That she needed space, not a separation, just time. Then, as if that wasn't enough, she told me she wouldn't stop seeing him. Said he gave her emotional support she wasn't getting from me. That one hit like a gut punch. I sat there, staring at the floor, trying to process what the hell just happened. It felt like everything I'd built, our home, our life, our family, was crumbling into dust. I told her I wanted a divorce. She looked surprised. Like she hadn't even considered that possibility. No tears. No begging. Just more justification. She said our marriage had been dead for a long time. That what she did was just the result of feeling unloved. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. But inside I was wrecked. Completely shattered. And yet, a tiny part of me still hoped she'd say something. Anything. Something that would make me believe this wasn't the end. That maybe we could fight for us. I still loved her. And that, more than anything, was what hurt the most. It hurt worse than eating a pile of jalapenos for breakfast and chasing it with regret. I laid it out plain and simple for Megan. If we were going to have even the slightest chance at saving our marriage, there were going to be conditions, non-negotiables. First, she had to come clean, completely. I needed to know everything about the affair, when it started, how long it lasted. All of it. Second, she had to cut all ties with him. And I meant all ties. That included quitting her job. I didn't want her in the same building as him, not even the same parking lot. She pushed back, of course, said she already told me everything, which I don't believe for a second. Claimed she was ignoring his calls now, but how can I trust that? They still work together. She's in a high-level position, and she says quitting would complicate things. She offered to request a department transfer instead. But that didn't sit right with me. It felt like a half measure. I told her, if she's serious, then he needs to be the one to go. He should transfer or leave the company altogether. Otherwise, we're done. That's the line? I'm furious. Hurt beyond belief. And all I really want is for her to show me she's willing to fight for us, not just with words, but with action. Yesterday was a huge day for me. I finally figured out who the guy was. I left work early and drove to Megan's office, just to see what car he drove. I waited in the lot until he walked out, then followed him. 25 miles I stayed behind that guy until he pulled into a driveway. I got his address, found his photo online, and it all checked out. He's married. 3 kids. And now I've got his wife's info too. After sitting on the information for a few days, I decided to call her. Told her everything, every brutal detail. She was furious, obviously. Said she wanted to confront him immediately, but I asked her to wait. Think it through. She mentioned they had a big summer vacation planned with both sides of the family, and maybe the timing wasn't right. That was a few days ago. I'm not sure if she's gone through with the confrontation yet. But at least now she knows. Back on my end, Megan agreed, finally, to give me a full written timeline of the affair. She said she'd switch teams at work to get away from him and promised to cut all contact within 3 weeks. Now I know some people would say, go to HR, expose them both. But honestly, what's in it for me? She makes more than I do, and if we divorce now, I don't want to deal with alimony or child support. What really eats at me, though, is the idea of a custody battle. That's what I lose sleep over. I haven't fully decided if I'm staying or going. I only agreed to the counseling stuff to keep things calm while I talked to lawyers and get my plan in place. When I finally read the timeline she wrote out, man, it cut deep. Every sentence felt like a dagger. It was obvious, she was in love with him. She kept saying sorry, kept pretending she wanted to work on us, but let's be real, the damage is done. If I agree to counseling, that's like saying, yeah, it's fine you cheated on me. I won't be her backup plan. I'm not sticking around just because her lover won't leave his wife. This morning, I reached out to 3 different divorce attorneys downtown. I ended up going with this sharp-as-hell female lawyer. She heard me out, read the timeline Megan gave me, and told me I was smart to collect evidence. Even if parts of it weren't rock solid, it would help if things got messy in court. She also told me something important. In my state, I have 3 months from the moment I discovered the affair to file for divorce, or it'll look like I was okay with it. That could seriously hurt me if we fight over custody. Last night, I told Megan I was going through with the divorce. Originally, I planned to serve her at work, let her feel the embarrassment. But I decided to be the bigger person and have an honest conversation first. I wasn't prepared for her reaction. She flipped it on me. Accused me of leading her on, giving her hope that we could fix things. I reminded her, point blank, that she made her choice the moment she hooked up with some guy in a damn parking lot. Things blew up. We were both shouting. She cried. Said she still loved me. Pleaded for forgiveness. I hated her for putting me here, for shattering our family, our trust, our history. But I knew what I had to do. After meeting with my lawyer, I stopped by Kinko's and printed the divorce papers. When Megan came home, they were waiting for her, right there on the kitchen table. She looked stunned. Acted like she didn't see this coming. Tried to convince me we could still fix this. But it was too late. I saw right through her performance. I reminded Megan that she'd lied to me for 2 years, 2 full years, and that any trust one had left was long gone. I told her to do the right thing for the kids and sign the divorce papers. But she refused. Said she wanted to talk to her lawyer first. Then came the real kicker. She actually had the nerve to claim she didn't want to be with her affair partner anymore. Said she wanted me back. Yeah, sure. She had her chance. She threw it away. Even with tears in her eyes and her voice shaking, I was done. I turned to walk away, and just like flipping a switch, her crying turned into anger. Keep walking away like a coward! She shouted behind me. I'm not signing anything until I speak to my lawyer. Fine by me. Eventually, she did sign the papers. I assume after getting advice from whatever legal pitbull she hired. And even though the divorce process was officially rolling, she kept doing her day-to-day stuff like nothing had changed. Cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids. I guess she's trying to prove she can handle everything on her own. Maybe she thinks she's still in control. Or maybe she just misses being married to someone like me, someone dependable, someone who actually gave a damn. Something unexpected happened today. The wife of Megan's affair partner, yeah, her, called me out of nowhere. I don't know how she got my number. Maybe I gave it to her when I confronted the two of them in that office. Doesn't matter. She kept things vague on the phone but asked if I'd meet her for lunch at a nearby cafe. Apparently, she had something important to share, something about my wife. Truth is, I'd already planned to see her later that afternoon, but now it was official. I was nervous as hell. This woman, from what I could tell, was no fool. She ran her own business and seemed to have it together, probably in her late 30s. I originally thought she and her husband were in their 40s, but what do I know? Maybe life just hit them hard. Before I left the office, I snapped a pic of Megan's written affair timeline and sent the hard copy to my lawyer. Just in case. I also let my boss know I might not be back from lunch today. Hell, depending on what I heard, I wasn't even sure I'd be back at all. We met at a quiet little coffee shop not far from where I work. When I walked in, she was already there, standing. I reached out for a handshake, but she went in for a hug instead. A bit awkward, yeah, but I guess we'd bonded instantly over being screwed over by the people we trusted most. She started by thanking me for coming clean to her about her husband's infidelity. Then, just like that, she dropped a bomb. She had information, real information, about Megan that would absolutely wreck me. Said she'd considered writing me a letter, but it just wouldn't do the truth justice. She also wanted me to pass a message to Megan, stay the hell away from her husband. Apparently, she'd thought about confronting Megan face to face, but figured it would turn into a disaster. Turns out, she wasn't just sitting around mourning. She hired a private investigator, on my advice, actually. She even had spyware installed on her husband's phone and retrieved everything. Emails. Texts. Photos. 4 years' worth. And the worst part? My wife and her affair partner weren't just fooling around here and there. They'd been using a secret messaging app to avoid getting caught through work email. According to the investigators' findings, they'd been emotionally involved for 3 years, and physically involved for the past 2. No hotel receipts, but he confirmed regular meetups, twice a week minimum. Hotels. Bars. Anywhere they could hide. And get this, the affair started months before Megan got her big promotion. So yeah, turns out my wife wasn't seduced. She wasn't vulnerable or going through something. She initiated this. She drove it. Meanwhile, this guy just went along for the ride. Even a guy like me, someone who always tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, could see how twisted that was. And now? I feel worse than when I saw her in that damn SUV. I feel humiliated. Used. Betrayed in ways I didn't even think were possible. I loved Megan with everything I had. Thought we had a real marriage. But apparently I was just her backup plan. She called me boring. Unambitious. Said I wasn't adventurous enough. And they laughed about it together, mocked me like I was some washed-up has-been. The meeting lasted nearly 4 hours. She showed me the evidence, everything. And honestly, I didn't even bring up Megan's timeline. There was no point. That paper she gave me was a joke compared to what I'd just seen. After we said our goodbyes, and hugged again, I left and wandered into the nearest bar. Sat there alone. Tried to drown the ache in a whiskey glass. Because now I know. My ex never really loved me. Not the way I loved her. She just kept that part of herself hidden, and gave it all to someone else. I was just the guy Megan settled for. The one who took care of the kids, made sure the house didn't fall apart, and kept everything running smoothly while she chased her dreams, and apparently, chased other men too. While I was playing the role of dependable husband and father, she was out, networking, her way through the corporate ladder with coworkers. What really broke me was hearing from another woman, someone else who'd been cheated on. She reached out and gave me names. Actual names? Of other married managers Megan had messed around with before she zeroed in on her latest affair partner. So it wasn't just one guy. It was a pattern. I don't even know how long those flings lasted. And honestly, I don't think I want to. Because every detail feels like another knife in the back. I'm feeling hollow. Betrayed. Furious. And yeah, I want her to feel some of this pain too. This woman, she's cold. She lied to my face for years. And I'm done playing the nice guy. I'm not going to scream or break things, that's not me. But I am going to do something she'd never see coming. Something that will hit her where it really hurts. Because here's the thing, Megan is obsessed with appearances. To the outside world, she's the golden girl. Sweet, wholesome, polished. She's the one baking pies for the neighbors, smiling at everyone in church, ushering people in like she's the poster child for Christian marriage. She plays the role so well, you'd think she was auditioning for sainthood. But underneath that act? She's insecure as hell. Image is everything to her. Her parents, especially her dad, treat her like she walks on water. Daddy's little girl. They've always blamed me for any issues in our marriage. And they definitely have no idea what she's really been doing behind closed doors. Well, that's about to change. I went to Kinko's and made copies of all the evidence, the texts, the screenshots, even the pictures that the other betrayed wife gave me. Then I sat down with my lawyer to talk strategy. I asked if I could sue Megan's company. Maybe even those married managers she hooked up with. Not because I expect to win, but to make a point. To expose them. Create a public scandal they'll never shake off. My lawyer told me about something called alienation of affection. But that would require Megan's cooperation. And let's be honest, she's not going to help me burn down her image. Still, my lawyer drafted a solid set of documents I can use to pressure her into a better divorce settlement, and get her to move out of my house. Fast. This will be her wake-up call. I told my lawyer I wanted to threaten legal action against the company, and those involved. And just to add more heat, I'd mentioned the press. Even if it never makes it to court, the moment it hits the rumor mill, her perfect little image is done. She'll have no choice but to walk away from our family home, and everything that came with it. Oh, and yeah, we are moving forward with the papers. Just in case. Yesterday, I had to pick up the kids from school and take them over to Megan's parents' place. They're in their 70s, sweet old folks. Retired, totally removed from the chaos. And then, I decided it was time they saw the truth for themselves. I had a quiet sit-down with them in their living room. I pulled out the manila folder and laid the evidence on the table. The texts. The messages. And yes, even the explicit photos. No sugarcoating it. Her dad looked like he'd just been punched in the chest. The poor guy kept apologizing to me. Her mom? She sat there in stunned silence, trying to reconcile the image of her casserole baking, church-smiling daughter with the reality staring back at her in black and white. It was brutal. And yeah, it hurt to hurt them. But it had to be done. When I got back home, Megan was on the phone, bawling her eyes out, talking to her parents, no doubt. But the second she saw me walk through the door, she hung up and lost it. She started firing off questions, frantically asking what kind of evidence I had, where I got it, who I'd shown it to. Her voice was shaking, and she was sweating bullets. I've never seen her like that. It was like her whole world was crashing down right in front of her, and I won't lie, a small part of me felt a little vindicated. I completely caught her off guard when I mentioned the legal stuff. I told her I'd spoken to my lawyer, had paperwork drafted, and that I'd even given the local newspaper a little heads up. Her face went white. She looked like she was going to throw up, and at one point, she literally pulled at her hair like she was about to lose it. And for once, I didn't rush to comfort her. She broke. Started pleading with me to stop everything, begged me to keep it quiet. Said we could have an amicable divorce. Even offered to pay me alimony if that's what it took. But I didn't want her money. I just wanted her out. Out of my house. Out of my life. I told her flat out, I want you gone. Off the deed. And I want 50-50 custody of the kids. No games. Just a smooth, clean break. She hesitated. Curled up on the floor, still crying. But eventually she said yes. Agreed to everything. Begged me for one thing, a week to move out. Said she had nowhere to go. Her friends were all married, and her parents had shut her out after the truth came out. I told her she could stay at an extended stay hotel until the condo I'd already arranged was ready. She didn't argue. And 2 days later, just like that, she was gone. She moved into the condo quietly, and we finalized the divorce a few weeks after that. I kept the house. Got 50-50 custody of the kids. Honestly, it was a win, especially since she made more money than me. Was it a hit to her ego? Yeah, probably. But that's just the fallout from choices she made. Now that it's all said and done, I'm doing better. I've started taking care of myself again, hitting the gym, eating better. I'm off the booze, too. The emotional hangover from this whole mess was enough. As for dating? I'm not there yet. And I'm not rushing it. Right now, I'm just focused on rebuilding. On being the best dad I can be. On rediscovering who I am, outside of the heartbreak and betrayal. Because in the end, she might have torn down our marriage, but I'm still standing. And that counts for something.